To dive right in, I found the Cajita assignment to be very much a trip down memory lane. And the reason I say that is because of the quotes that I had to dig up from my past. So starting off, let's get right into this. Spend every day casual but industrious, every moment alert but relaxed. And I think this has a lot to do with being a leader because you have to sometimes come off as not frantic, even though you know things are really freaked out. And I think this relates to the external or the environmental aspects of being a leader, not obviously like directly environmental, but like the environment within your field of work. So yeah, an industrious sinner I much prefer to a lazy saint. This relates to being a leader because you will more often than not come into contact with people who may market themselves as perfect, even though they should know better, and you should as well. But you need to realize that your workers are not always going to be able to be at 100% at every single moment whenever you want them to be. And it is your job as a leader to either have someone assist them or for you yourself to get your hands dirty and get out into the field. But it's also wise to know when not to interfere and when to let them work things out on their own or go to HR. Anyway, the test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. And that was a very great quote by FDR. And I feel like that encapsulates my views not only politically, but what I view as my purpose as a leader or a public servant leader. And here's one of my favorite quotes from a show I love, House of Cards. There's no better way to overpower a trickle of doubt than with a flood of naked truth. And I completely agree with that. Because while many will say a leader should have integrity, there is a place for lying. Fear and hope, truth and lies, they all are tools, that leaders have used. And to deny that would be to deny large segments of history and even recent history. Both Donald Trump and our very own President Biden have used fear to achieve certain means. Or achieve certain ends, I should say. So I'm just the one to be completely blunt about that and bring that up. So now let's quickly, I don't think I'll be able to cover all of these, but I'll certainly try. This one is identity. And then there were two other ones, community and stability. And that is a famous motto from The World State and A Brave New World. I love all those words. And I love the book, in fact. Being a technocrat, I can sort of relate with A Brave New World. But yes, identity, we need identity for many reasons. I can't even begin to cover it. But community goes directly with identity. Identity is more of like your singular, like on an individual basis. Community is when you take all those individuals together and you unite them. Where was my unity? Here we have unity. That's when you unite them, and you can achieve great things with unity. Unity is strength, as I always say. Visionary was from Tuesday's class. I love that. I also have two internal monologue quotes that really, truly are the key to my desire for leadership or power, I guess. The first one is, power is not a means, it is an end. One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. One makes a revolution in order to establish a dictatorship. And now I realize that sounds very horrific, because we all know the precedent that dictatorships have set. My liking of this comment is more so for the good that it does have in it. And that you need to be introspective about what your purpose is, what your purpose for power is, and to make sure you don't strive Whenever you have great social upheaval, that you don't strive for more control. You need to be open at all times to the suggestion of those who were there in the beginning, not to cut them off. Another quote is, "A child who is not embraced by a village will burn it down to feel its warmth." And that relates with my relationship with religion and my community back home, which I have a very deep-seated emotions, we'll put it like that, for. And it only inspires me to pursue more leadership roles. Now, you may think that's short-sighted, but we all have our imperfections. Self-directed, that relates with my deep-seated emotions and stuff like that. I take initiative. I love taking initiative, and I will support anyone that does take initiative more often than not. Humor, sometimes you gotta shake things up a little and add a little light into some dark matters. Remembrance, that has a lot to do with introspection. Reformer, that just goes with my progressive ideology. Acclimation, getting acclimated to things, being adaptable and stuff like that, is how that relates. As a leader, you should always be as adaptable as possible, but also recognize when you can't be. Perception of vulnerability. This relates to using the power, the tool of perception. That's what it is, like anything else, to your advantage as a leader. Now, that may be seen as manipulation, but that's just another aspect of leadership. I mean, yeah, that's just how it is. You can't have one without the other, really. Facilitator, facilitate the initiative of others, so that goes with initiative taking and stuff like that. Striving for excellence. Never strive for perfection. There was a quote, never let perfection be the enemy of good. And that is a quote that I subscribe to a lot as well. Introspection, I think I've said this since day one. Introspection serves to be at the very crux of everything, but beyond the quotes that I have read. So yes, ruthlessness, ruthlessly introspective, ruthless in all that you do. That is a quote that has, or not a quote, a word that has negative connotations, and I can see why. All words have, at some point, had a negative connotation to them. Stability, or have been used in negative purposes. And then there's stability, and that's for obvious reasons. As a leader, it's your job to help lay out the scope of the operations. Now, it's also your job to know when you should expand the scope and when to keep it where it is. And the way to know that is through consulting, constant communication with your peers, your superiors if you have them, or your direct underlings or anything like that. So with that said, that concludes this Cajita project. I hope this provided some insight into my imperfect self. Never have I made the assertion that I am perfect. I know I'm not, and I like to think I relish in my imperfections. So, with that said, please have an excellent day and an excellent weekend.